Maybe. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hi, Tyler.
It's on. Check.
All right, welcome. I'm glad to have you all here. The first part I will spend introducing the HR strategic plan that we've developed. And then once we're done with this piece, then I will turn it over to Stacy to talk about some construction information. In 2014, Dr. Jose Marie Griffiths was hired by the Board of Regents to take DSU in a new direction. This path is leading DSU to be one of the most highly respected technology-centric schools in the United States, creating growth of external relationships between DSU and the business sector and bringing growth to campus. As President Griffiths works to accomplish these expectations, we, as the employees of DSU, will also continue to work together as one team to support and embrace these changes and share in the excitement of what DSU is becoming. Because we are rising to new levels externally, I want us to rise to new levels internally as well. In order for us to rise as one team, an HR organizational plan has been developed based on input from you, the faculty and staff of DSU. This is a conservative plan, not overpromising, formative, but not miraculous, with realistic expectations. This 3-year strategic HR organizational development plan has 4 pieces: market competitiveness, council empowerment, intra-campus communication, and leadership development. What does each piece of the puzzle really mean? Let's take a look. As we watch what happens during the current legislative session, salary policy is probably on the top of everyone's list. Last year, we experienced no salary policy, which equated to no raises. As we hear about the current sales tax economy of South Dakota, we are again anticipating no salary policy. In essence, no raises this year. This makes it challenging to retain current employees as well as recruit new employees due to the market competitiveness we experience in some positions. To see where our positions rank compared to market, we will hire a consultant to evaluate our positions here at Dakota State University. This will allow us to identify and compare specific positions we need to evaluate internally. Once completed, President's Cabinet will review this evaluation and decide how to best move forward over the next 3 years as we address the areas of concern. This information will be shared with all of you as employees by email and/or a campus forum. HR will continue to take an active and competitive approach with our current hires as well. This means I will continue to review internal equity with each hire, making adjustments as needed to keep our current employees competitive as well. In FY20 and 21, HR will review each position description to ensure we have current and relevant expectations identified for each position and classifications which are consistent with expectations. The expected outcomes for the market competitive piece are threefold. We hope to make DSU a lead employer in regards to salaries, create a sense of value with our current employees, and see recruitment pools grow with diversified and qualified applicants. Council empowerment. With the creation of DSU's NFE Council in 2017, we now have a representative body for each classification of employees on campus. This piece of the HR organizational plan will empower the council's employees and HR to work together to address employees' needs and provide them the resources necessary to be successful at DSU. In the first year of the plan, HR will work with each council independently to develop an onboarding program for new hires. In the second year, we will move to independently develop a mentorship program to help with employee success. In the third and final year, we will work to develop training programs to help all employees develop the skills they need to be successful in their position. Council empowerment will give the councils a voice and an opportunity to join in the responsibility of employee development within the university. Additional intended outcomes include enhancing transparency, providing professional development, and allowing the university to stay in tune with the needs of our employees. There is always room for improvement with communication. This portion of the HR plan will help address our communication with 5 improvements. The current monthly HR newsletter contains relevant HR information about items such as timesheets, trainings, new hires, open positions, benefit information, and so on. We will expand the HR newsletter into a campus newsletter. Each month, Jenny from the HR department will contact each member of President's Cabinet for information from their area, news about events or developments, building or construction updates, and other general information employees should know around campus. This campus newsletter will cover CQI updates, academic affairs, Title III, ITS, student affairs, business and administrative services, institutional advancement, athletics, and strategic projects, in addition to HR news. It will be released the first of the month or the following Monday if the first falls on a weekend. Next, we will create an anonymous concerns link. Currently, we have an incident reporting form on the Title IX page, which anyone may use to anonymously report an incident. We will be adding an additional page for concerns which do not relate to Title IX. This anonymous concerns link will be housed on the portal on the HR page and will only come to Alicia and me. You will have the option to include contact information, or you may submit anonymously. Employee relations have been and continue to be important to HR and DSU. So we will begin conducting new hire check-ins, stay interviews, and department check-ins. As an employee of the HR department, we will meet with each new hire after 30 days of employment to see how things are going, ask if they have the supplies or the equipment they need, for example. HR will also check in with the supervisor of each new employee between 30 days and 4 months. If there are concerns, we will help to address those issues. Between 6 and 12 months on the job, I will meet with the employees to make sure we are still on a path for success. Each year, HR will evaluate our longevity report and identify employees for stay interviews. A member of the HR department will meet with a different set of employees each year to hear their thoughts about why they choose to stay at DSU, noting insights that we should share with new employees and looking for ways to promote the reasons which keep them here at DSU. HR will also start conducting department check-ins. 1 or 2 members of HR, depending on the size of the department, will meet with each department to hear what is working for them, their current and anticipated needs, or any concerns they have. By providing the new hire check-ins, stay interviews, department needs, and an anonymous concerns link, we hope to build greater relationships with our employees, provide a trusted resource for our employees, and communicate campus concerns to administration. Another part of the intra-campus communication piece will include an evaluation of the committees we currently have here at DSU. We will consider which are best suited as part of DSU and determine their expectations, requirements, and accountability. The Implementation Council will work to review all the committees and submit a proposal to President's Cabinet on the committees, their purpose, and whom they report to. Following this, the committee's direct report and HR will meet with the committee members to identify their roles and expectations. One new expectation of these committees will be to submit meeting minutes in an annual report, which will be posted to the portal for employees' reference. HR will help to determine a schedule for these to be submitted. The final piece of the intracampus communication area is to enhance our DSU directory. Because the university is in the process of building a new website, this improvement is slotted for the final year of the HR plan. This will allow time to create the new website and determine what information is best for the directory. The projected outcomes of the intracampus communication piece are increased transparency, more avenues to report concerns, and more input regarding the needs of our employees and departments. The final piece to the HR strategic plan will allow us to improve the skills of our current leaders and develop a skill set in employees who have a desire to lead. Our first step is to invest in an interactive leadership program provided by an outside agency. This program will be offered each of the 3 years of the HR plan. Attendance in one of the 3 years will be required for all current supervisors. We will be mindful of current projects such as Student Banner, and those supervisors will not be asked to participate in the first year. A supervisor is identified as anyone who oversees others, whether it is 1 or 20 employees. This interactive leadership program will also be open to employees who may not currently be a supervisor, but hope to advance in their job duties. This will allow them to develop skills necessary for good leadership. We will provide further information once we have identified the program we are bringing to DSU. HR will work with members of the task forces to develop a mechanism for a supervisor rating system as an element of their annual evaluations. This will provide the opportunity for faculty and staff to offer feedback. We plan to have this in place for calendar year 2018 evaluations. DSU currently has 52 supervisors. We will implement this program initially with 14 of those supervisors. Once the first stage is completed, HR will evaluate the system and enhance the mechanism according to feedback from employees and supervisors. In year 2, we will add another 19 supervisors, reevaluate the system, and make improvements as needed. The remaining 19 supervisors will be added in the final year. By the end of year 3, we should have a well-developed supervisor rating mechanism as an element to our annual employee leadership development seminars and workshops, which will continue to build on the skills acquired in the leadership development program. This training will also help employees and supervisors learn how to conduct crucial or difficult conversations while maintaining respect with one another. The final piece of leadership development will involve modifications to the structure of and plan for Implementation Council. During the task force presentations this past fall, many questions centered on the role of this group, its decision-making authority and responsibility for seeing projects to completion. There was also the recommendation to have a faculty presence on President's Cabinet and to appoint an ombudsman. To help address these questions and recommendations, Implementation Council will become the mechanism to bring forward employee concerns. The group will also monitor the strategic initiatives to make sure we are staying on track. The members of Implementation Council will propose its new organization to President's Cabinet, considering questions such as representation from all areas of campus and the council structure, with overall reporting to the provost, who serves as the Implementation Council chair. They will also determine how often they should meet, when they should meet, and so forth. Implementation Council will develop the agenda for their meetings, in which they will consider employee concerns and monitor progress with DSU strategic plans. They will also provide agenda topics for these monthly campus forums. Minutes will be taken at Implementation Council, which will be posted on the portal. President's Cabinet will sit on Implementation Council, but their role will be simply as a resource to provide feedback on questions, projects, and their involvement with strategic initiatives, except for the provost, who serves as Implementation Council chair. If there are concerns or matters which Implementation Council feels should be brought forward to President's Cabinet, they are more than welcome to request a time to meet with Cabinet and discuss. These changes will modify the role of Implementation Council to be the voice of our employees and as a monitoring body. Implementation Council will monitor progress with the Master Academic Plan, the Excellence Through Innovation 2020 Strategic Vision, and this HR Strategic Initiative, ensuring that we stay on track to accomplish all our important strategic initiatives. The intended project outcomes for the leadership development piece are to provide professional development, create new mechanisms for staff and faculty evaluations, greater accountability of supervisors, improve transparency of job recognition and concerns, and changes to the Implementation Council. The importance of this HR strategic plan shows we value employees, demonstrates our desire to recruit and retain colleagues and communicate effectively with them, and create an overall positive image of DSU. I brought along the HR team. For those that do not know all of us in the HR department, I thought it would be good to introduce them so you all are aware when they show up to visit with you that they truly are part of HR. So if you all would mind standing up, please. So we have Alicia, Jess, Jenny, and Candy, and myself. We will be the ones to work and initiate the HR strategic plan. We are here because we have a passion for what we do, and a passion to educate students who contribute locally, nationally, and globally. As DSU continues to grow, we must embrace this growth and continue to be recognized for our achievements in continuous quality improvement. I leave you with a quote from George C. Littenberg. "I cannot say whether things will get better if we change. What I can say is they must change if they are to get better." Thank you. Questions? Yes. No, we won't. No, that's not our goal. Okay. Oh, the question was the person we are bringing in to evaluate the positions. Is there the possibility that you could make less? No, we will not cut people's pay. That's not the goal of bringing in an outside party. Other questions? Yes.
There isn't any money for raises, but there is money for an outside consultant. And I'm not against the idea of an outside consultant, but how is that justified within the organization?
We as DSU will pay for the outside consultant. Salary policy comes from the legislature in their determination based on revenues and projections and so forth, what they can allocate towards the Board of Regents and state employees for raises. Feedback? I know Stacy's really hoping that I fill up with all the questions. Corey, you got some questions for me? Oh, okay. So you want me to do a little dance then? Okay. So I maybe shouldn't have started with that, Amber.
Do you think the increase in that will actually increase our recruitment pool? If there's no pool?
I think we will always have a challenge with some of our positions, depending on where we can recruit them from, just because South Dakota and Madison have low unemployment rates, that we always are going to be competitive. But I think by reevaluating to make sure that our positions are comparable to market, it puts us in a better position to know that we are where we need to be with our positions, and that we just need to work harder on recruiting some of the positions. If nothing else, I will gladly turn it over to Stacy. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your attention.
Since we have enough time, we'll thanks, Angie. Several slides here talking about campus construction and what we anticipate beginning with the Mad Labs and several other projects that you may have questions about that certainly are going to influence our lives over the next year, year and a half of our work here at DSU. The first one I have here is parking. I'm sure everybody is very happy with parking on campus, but if there are a few that are having challenges with that, and our students certainly have expressed that, with the growth on campus, we certainly have more congestion. We've tried to do a lot of changes in how we've managed parking throughout the year. The parking committee itself has been quite active in their discussions and how we might do some things. But on here, if you are familiar with the parking lot just north of the Courtyard Learning Engagement Center building, we're proposing to construct additional spots north of that parking lot. So left would be north on the map here. That would add about 80 parking spots, and we would begin that, I believe, this spring, have it ready for fall of 18. So when the students arrive back on campus this coming fall, we'll have additional spots in there. It may only be gravel. I think that's the plan at this point. Surprising how expensive parking can be. We're talking thousands of dollars per spot when you're talking about a concrete or asphalt type of system. So, but definitely something needed. Hopefully this will relieve some pressure on the core of campus. And then as we continue to plan for future growth, this will be an element that we'll have to consider going forward. Just for I guess everyone's benefit, but maybe the students are more interested in this aspect. We look at the rates that we are charging students for parking on an annual basis. Dakota State University right now, it's $62 per permit, and looking to raise that to $72 for next year for students. One of the things, and we talked about at the parking committee, is what are we going to do with faculty and staff parking? Typically, we've looked at what is salary policy and tried to take that into heavy consideration of what the change, if any. So if we don't have salary policy, I think the strong recommendation would be we don't increase that fee for the faculty and staff on campus. But super optimistic that Angie can make that. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. It's like I thought she was right. she can make salary policy happen, right, Angie? You bet. Moving on, one of the larger impacts to campus will be the Madison Cyber Labs, or Mad Labs. And you may have seen this in the newspaper. I think it was in there a few weeks ago. But when we look at the site construction area for this new building, which will include the demolition of Lowry, this will have a perimeter around it for construction, similar to we had fencing on the former hospital when we did that site, or even on the Beacon building, so that for safety precautions, that we don't have individuals going into the construction zone inadvertently or purposely. Part of 6th Street will have temporary and permanent restrictions to that. So on the bottom half here, you can see that I think the tenants or the individuals that have houses here will still have access to their alley and be able to drive out onto 6th Street, but will actually take up part of 6th Street in the fencing and construction site. Several parking spots along Egan will be reserved for contractors and some other things there. So again, all of that will have a major influence, and you'll see some of that begin in April. And that brings us here. So we are advertising for the construction of the Madison Cyber Labs, I think March 5th. We just had a meeting this morning, and I believe that's correct, Corey. So those will be the first days that the advertisement for those construction packages will be out there. We'll open those bids on March 27th, and our contractor or general contractor, Journey Construction Group, is ready to go. They'll have that site set up beginning on April 2nd, and in early April, they'll begin the demolition of Lowry Hall. So construction obviously will take a period of time. I think our timeline is have that building done late August, early September of 2019. If there's questions throughout, it might be easier if you have them, let me know. Raise your hand and we'll. Good question. The lower one is looking south from the library parking lot, and that will be the main entrance to the building. And the upper picture is looking north from 6th Street. And I don't have a picture from Egan Avenue. From Egan Avenue, the majority of the building will have a lot of glass look to it, so you can see the activities that are going on within there. But these are the two best renderings we have at this point in time. So we'll share more of those as we get further along. Absolutely.
So you're proposing a lot, right?
Oh.
How far north does that lot go? So clear that you're not moving around where it's playhouse.
No, actually, the Playhouse. Yes. And trust me, that was a discussion topic. My kids still are sledding on that hill. They were just there this weekend. The Playhouse is on the far left there, and you can see, for those of you who know, the hill that many students and some adults slide down. One of the things that we have talked about, the residential master plan or the auxiliary master plan has scheduled for somewhere in this area to have a new residence hall in the future as one potential site. That's an item that we're bringing to the Board of Regents at the end of this month, or tomorrow, end of March. We'll be proposing that we start planning for a new residence hall or some sort of housing to accommodate the growth on campus, whether that be in this location, either adjacent or close to this parking lot, is a really good question. There's several other spots that we've looked at or have in our schedule, but this picture may not be perfect to scale, and I think Corey maybe could describe better, but there would need to be some buffer between the Playhouse and this parking lot, and that's part of the project as we look at it. Where exactly does that go? As you know, that slopes down a little bit, so there's some challenges with creating parking in that area as well. Any other questions? All right, jumping up to East Hall. We just opened bids yesterday for a project to renovate part part of East Hall, third floor, is our first phase, although there's several components that we'll actually touch on more than just that floor of the building. Construction, and I think the deans have sent out a lot of information about this, but construction will begin the last week of school. So finals will not be given within that building. So as I look at Dean Hansen and if Dean Bennett is here, I believe they've sent out a number of messages to their faculty, staff, here she is, the faculty and students. So they're well aware that they won't be taking their finals within this building. They'll still have finals somewhere, but they'll have to reschedule that. That gives us a little more time in the construction window because we need to have this place back up and running for faculty to move in August. So every day that we can capture on the front end gives us a little more time on the back end for that piece. So we are still going through the bids, but they were pretty close to what we had estimated. I think slightly over, but Corey and the facilities management team and the contractors are working on getting that project within budget. So again, they were just opened yesterday, so a lot of details to work through. And then looking at General Beadle, if you've been following social media or the news, you may know that General Beadle has been moved indoors, and they're working on reconditioning him slightly. The rock has or hasn't been moved? Has been moved. They didn't ask me to come over there the first time, otherwise it would have been moved right away. But no, tall enough shoes for that one? I sit higher. General Beadle, we had a committee of a number of individuals. Ben Jones was on that group leading, but they went together and came up with a recommendation for both of these to be relocated. The General will be located just north of Beadle Hall, facing west. North of Tuenheim. Okay, then I have that wrong. North of Tuenheim and then facing west in the plaza. And then the World War II rock will be yes. Yeah. Hey, I'm just the presenter. Next time Corey will do this himself. The World War I rock will be will be by the flagpoles and the Memorial Garden, Rose Garden, and we thank you, Ben, and your team for making these recommendations. Because obviously, I'm not even right on which war that was. Sorry about that. And then we had some pictures here, some good photos of getting that moved and in process. The last thing that I was going to mention is we've been working, as you know, HR has moved, or hopefully you know, HR has moved down the hall in second floor of Heston, where Career Services was. Career Services is in the Learning Engagement Center if you're looking for them. So the former HR office is something that we've been looking at considerably at how we repurpose that. Our team has been talking about how we can move the cashier into that location and if that's feasible. So we've got some meetings tomorrow about how we might be able to do that. But first phase is identifying how we can make that happen, and a timeline then would be determined. And then, of course, if we move the cashier, that frees up space on first floor of Heston Hall to be used for another purpose. So the domino effect will continually occur here as we've built a new building, we build another new building, and things trickle down throughout all of the other places on campus. So that's all I had. If you guys have any other questions about construction or other things, be happy to answer those. Marcus? If not, any questions? Thank you for coming. And again, thank you, HR, for putting together a great strategic plan. And we look forward to working with you on that over the next few years. Thank you.